Hey friends, hey Mind Wanderers, it's another IGTV Live. We're going to start this IGTV Live, a little Bella Fleck. For those of you that are Gen Xers listening, I'm sure you've been to a festival or two. Hey Edward Warren, welcome. My name is Sam Led. What's up, David? Yo, yo, yo in the house. David Kennett, very, very talented sound healer, musician, holisticologist. Go see him. Okay, I gave you a plug, that's enough. Welcome to another IGTV Live with yours truly, Sam Led. It's a pleasure to be here. I am here for you in the nosebleed seats. God, I love that Bella Fleck. Hey, Jeannie, welcome. We're doing it again and doing it again and doing it again. I'm here for all of you. I'm here of service for all of you. And I'm going to turn on the Bella Fleck, even though I could play this all night and bore the hell out of you guys. From the Jam Band days, the Horde Festival, Sungfest. What's up, Gen Xers? You know what I'm talking about. It is good to be here. And tonight, very special IGTV Live, of course. We're going to talk about how to meet people where they are. And when you're in a conflict situation, hey Ventura Magazine, right on, 805 in the house. Here in beautiful downtown Santa Barbara, my name is Sam Led. I'm just fixing my tripod real quick because one of the legs broke off and now it's kind of like a weird, oh, screw it. All right, it's a little bit of cockeyed, but that's okay. We're going to talk about meeting people where they are. When you're in conflict with somebody, whether it's in a personal relationship, whether it's a work relationship that is not serving your purpose, whether you're having difficulty maneuvering through the political maelstrom of your office, and it's because of one person. And it's very difficult. Gee, that's awesome. It's very difficult sometimes to meet people where they are. This is not easy. I'm going to drink some wine. I'm going to toast to all of you guys. It's difficult for a lot of us to let go of our ego, let go of wanting to be right, especially when we're at work, when we're at a place where this is our livelihood, where we need to make a living. Meeting people where they are and flipping the tables a little bit and seeing, okay, where's this person coming from? What's going on with them? Why am I in conflict with them? What about me is causing the conflict? And again, especially in a work environment, where there's a lot of stress sometimes, when there are difficulties that seem insurmountable, seem like you can't get out of it, and your livelihood depends on this job. You have a family to feed, you have bills to pay, you have a mortgage, etc. There's a lot of other external stressors that are sort of feeding that mental chatter, that are contributing to the gobbledygook that's going on between you and a... Well, that's a good thing. This is part of my tripod, by the way. I had a little fight with my tripod. So I'm holding the tripod so it won't fall over. I think I need to invest in a more expensive tripod. $14.99, this is what happens. You know what? You got what you pay for it, right? You got to invest in yourself, kids. Okay. I want you all to take out a piece of paper. But first, I want you to all ground yourself in yourself, because some of these questions are really important. Thank you, David. I know everything to you is funny. I love you, man. That's so very cool. These are really good questions about how to really understand people, especially if you're in a conflict with them at work or even in your personal relationships. Because it doesn't all have to be life or death, right? You know, you don't have to all wrestle every conflict to the ground and kill it. And meeting people where they are is tough for all of us, including myself. Having been through a lot of conflict in my life. I'm here. I survived. Talking to all of you guys with a full head of hair, smiling, looking charming, trying to be smart and erudite. For those of you just joining us, we're talking about how to meet people where they are when you're in a conflict or you're having a difficult time with another person, especially in your professional relationships at work. So I want you all to take a piece of paper out. Piece of paper. Doesn't have to be fancy. You know, you can turn it into origami later on in the day if it doesn't serve your purpose. But let's get your brain sinking into finding solutions to any conflict that you're having with a coworker or even a loved one. But let's focus on a coworker that you're having a conflict with and how to meet that person where they are. Okay, so I want you to think of that person. Think of that person. Go deep, okay? What do you need from that person? First of all, that's one question. What do you need from that person? Oftentimes, we're just thinking about ourselves, right? And a lot of times it's, okay, I need this person to agree with me on this subject matter. A lot of times that's not easy because we all come with different mental chatter, different gobbledygook in our head. We all have different perspectives, different judgments. We all see the world through our own selective cognitive lens. So it's sometimes difficult to zero in on what we need from the other person, a coworker, when we're steeped in conflict, when there's polarization, or both of you are just don't want to talk to each other. Okay, that's the first one. So think about that. What do you need from that person that you're having an issue with, so you can try to meet them where they are? Now, when I talk about meeting someone where they are and not placing judgment on them, even though they're giving you a hard time or they're being difficult, or preventing you from getting a promotion or finishing a project on time, it's very easy to go to that fight or flight mode, to filter through that ego and not see the forest in the trees and end up making it worse, right? And thinking from the limbic system, thinking from the amygdala, going from the thinking from the primitive part of our brain that doesn't always see the big picture, right? And being reactive. And a lot of times when we're reactive in a conflict situation, what happens? We end up making it worse. We end up losing our job. We end up losing the promotion. We end up losing the things that we want out of the relationship we have with someone who doesn't see eye to eye with us. Meeting people where they are is a good metaphor for us. I talked about when you're on the freeway and you're driving, someone cuts you off. And instead of thinking of them as they're an asshole, right? Or they're just a careless driver, they don't care about other people but themselves, they're a narcissist, they're a jerk, whatever. When you think of that other driver, the next time someone cuts you off, think of them as they're rushing to the hospital to see a loved one. So you're taking that focus away from the anger for them doing you wrong, because most of the time, they're completely oblivious to you. They don't care about you, but they may be rushing to the hospital to visit a loved one if they're sick. Meeting them where they are, even if they're not. Take that pressure off and allow yourself just to say, you know what? I want to kill them. I want to cut them off. I want to seek revenge for them possibly getting me into an accident. But if I meet them where they are and see, okay, maybe they are in a rush to the hospital. Maybe they're having the horrible day and they're in a rush because they're late for work. And because if they miss work, they're going to lose their job and they won't be able to pay their rent and they have kids to feed. You see what I did? I met them where they are. Even if I don't know what's going on with them, give them the benefit of the doubt. Next question, write this down. Why is this person being difficult? A lot of times, most of the time, it has nothing to do with us and why we're not in the way. It's just they're dealing with stuff on their end in their life that's bleeding through into their work life. And it's hard to see that, but it's something to think about. Why is that person being difficult? Question number 3. And this one is hard, so think about it for a second before writing down your response to this question. What does your mental chatter sound like when you're around this person? Mental chatter is the noise in your head. It's kind of like when you're at a boring meeting and your mind goes to thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch, right? Or I have to go to the bathroom when you're sitting in a meeting that you're kind of getting bored about. Your mind wandering, right? What does your mental chatter What does your mental chatter sound like when you're around this person? What are the meta messages in your head? What do they sound like? Are you creating judgments about this person? He's selfish, or he's just thinking about himself. He doesn't care about the team. I'm talking about in a work relationship. Are you going negative? Are you going dark with the mental chatter? Because remember, this mental chatter creates these mental maps that we create judgments from. We're pulling from, a lot of times it's negative, and it doesn't have to be. When you want to meet someone where they are and try to find solutions together and collaborate with them, a lot of times, and a lot of you are going to be like, no way, this person's wrong. They did me wrong. They were in the wrong. It's all their fault. What percentage of that, and maybe it is, some of it's their fault, but it takes two to tango. What percentage of that, those negative judgments or the negative label that you're attaching to the person that you're in conflict with is your mental chatter? Mental chatter comes from fear. It comes from our own insecurities, our own fears that are created by, just being human. Because instead of looking at the big picture and seeing, okay, how can I step up to the plate and honor myself as well as honor the other person in a way where I get at least have some concessions and get a little bit of what I want? Look, especially in professional relationships, this is not easy to do, right? Right? Because we develop, we become, we develop bad taste in our mouths about these people that are in conflict with us at work, right? They're not a team player. They're Machiavellian. This is all mental chatter. They're only looking out for themselves. They're selfish. They would screw me over anyway. So why should I work with them? Why should I help solve this problem? Meeting them where they are, despite what your perceptions of them are, is not easy. Sometimes, meeting people where they are is not possible. But a lot of the time, by really listening, not to your mental chatter, your fears about what could possibly happen if you don't find a solution to the problem that you have between you and your coworker, what could end up happening? You lose your job. You get reported to HR. If you're in sales and marketing, you might lose a bonus. You create a hostile work environment. And a lot of that's created by your own mental chatter that doesn't even exist. It's just mental chatter. And that is, for a lot of us, because when we go into scarcity and fear mode, it's very, very tough to get out of our own fear of losing our job or fear of not being able to pay the bills. And this guy who I'm having an issue with, my coworker, is the obstacle to me having a successful career in whatever career you're in. And a lot of you are going to fight me on that. That's a tough question because mental chatter will always exist in your life from now until the last day of your life. But the real discipline is understanding the difference between mental chatter, the gobbledygook between your ears, the fears, the anxieties, the anger, and intuition. Because intuition doesn't scream at you like that. Intuition is that voice, that calm voice, that gentle nudge. Hey, Roxparada, welcome back. I see some familiar faces. That will give you real guidance on how to diffuse a conflict between you and another person or a coworker. Be able to distinguish the difference between mental chatter, right, which goes down this rabbit hole of not getting what you want at the end. You're just going to continue to polarize. Hey, Higuerello, welcome. Thank you for joining, man. I see another familiar face. Those of you joining us, we're talking about mental chatter. We're talking about mental chatter. We are talking about mental chatter, but that's kind of a side effect of all this, right? We're talking about how to meet people where they are when you're in a conflict with a coworker or in your relationships. Another question to write down for tonight and think about. Don't answer it right now. What is that person trying to tell you? It's so easy just to get polarized in the argument. It's so easy just to be stubborn and say, you know what, he's wrong. What he did to me was wrong. Feeling, playing the victim, feeling victimized. And either he gives in to what I want, or I'm going to report him to HR, or whatever the process is. Again, seeing the other person, what they're going through. You know, that other person, regardless of how you feel about them, as you know, they have bills to pay. Some of them might have families. You know, you can demonize them with your mental chatter, but that's not going to get you anywhere, right? Yeah, none of this stuff is easy. I'm not trying to idealize any of this. But if you really get quiet inside and really listen to your inner voice, not the mental chatter, not the mind noise, you will find a solution. But you first have to see the other person for who they are, what they're going through. As hard as that is, especially in a work environment where it might be competitive, maybe it's a sales and marketing environment where y'all are competitive, but if you truly understand the psychology of the other person and what makes them tick, get curious, be a detective, get curious about what motivates the other person so you can find a solution when you're having difficulties with a coworker. So you can meet them where they are. Maybe they're going through a family crisis and they're just grumpy and difficult to work with, and they're just not pleasant to be around, and it has nothing to do with your work relationship. Don't assume because of your preconceived judgment based on that mental chatter, and I call it it's like you create your own Instagram cognitive filter of how you feel about that other person, your coworker that you're having a conflict with, without really understanding both sides, right? And this is a healthy way of doing things. So another question: what is the person you're having an issue with struggling with? As I mentioned before, they could have just had a diagnosis. They could have just been diagnosed with diabetes, or a family member passed away, or there are things that you don't know behind the scenes that are going on that perhaps is contributing to the conflict that you're having with the coworker or in the relationship. And so don't make assumptions based on your own fears and your own scarcity of needing to have a paycheck and this person's preventing you from being successful in that job. Meet them where they are by really understanding where they are, literally. Ask them questions. What's going on? You know, how can I be a better colleague and team member? Get to know them besides just working next to them. Take an interest as much as you want to just wrestle them to the ground and kill them. You know, your first instinct, like, how dare they mess with my livelihood? Hey, Parad Senior joined. How are you? I mean, again, none of this, you know, I can sit here and talk to you about all this. In the real world, a lot of this application, you know, is experiential. You just got to try it out. So those who are just joining me again, we're talking about how to meet people where they are when you're dealing with a coworker or in a relationship where there's conflict. This is the most difficult question that you're going to write down because your ego is going to get in the way. I know some of you are going to have an issue with this. It's what are you contributing to the conflict? Hear me out. What are you contributing to the conflict? Those of you that are headstrong, that are stubborn, maybe you're an Aries or a Taurus, just kidding. What are you contributing to this conflict? Because you are contributing to it. Whether, you know, there are, when you're talking about, especially at work, when you have a coworker that you're having an issue with, you play a role in that conflict. You're doing the dance with them. Why are you having a conflict with this person? There's a need that's not being met for both of you. But you play a role in this. So you have to take some responsibility for why there's an issue between you and a coworker or in your personal relationships. Nobody is blameless here. So if you can go deep, take a deep dive within yourself and say, okay, what am I doing that's causing this conflict? Is it because I'm scared that I'm going to lose my job and I'm projecting my stuff onto this person and he's just reacting? What am I doing? I'm just one of many examples. Okay? Why do I feel like I'm being screwed over? Right? How can I integrate my role in the conflict between me and that other person in a better understanding and have real kind of agency over the contact and work collaboratively with that other person to meet them where they are without you being having to sacrifice something. Okay? Maybe it's just asking them to meet for lunch and just having a discussion during your lunch break and saying, listen, these things are a little bit of a concern to me, that's causing me not to get some of our project done on time, and I just want to sort of, if it's okay with you, I want to know if everything is okay in your life, and if everything is okay, I just want to know how we can work better together going forward, because we have a deadline coming up. The other thing is that what are you doing to use reflective listening in this conflict? By meeting people where they are, you're not just canceling them out and going rogue and just pointing fingers at them and saying it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. It's because of what you're doing that's preventing us from finishing the project, or your behavior is threatening my livelihood. It may very well be, but you're not going to find a solution to the conflict between you two by behaving that way, right? So reflective listening, I talked about in the last IGTV Live, is parroting back what they're saying. Literally, reflecting back on what they're saying to you, and it basically allows them to hear what they're saying to you. It gives them kind of it's like a mirror, so they can really hear what they're saying to you, and it also shows that you care enough to listen, that you're showing them respect and listening to what they're saying. Okay. The most important one of all this, and again, it's not easy because, we are human beings with our own traumas, with our own past, with our own shtick, our own stuff that we bring to the table. But being really conscious and being really grounded and being really conscientious about not only ourselves, but about others, especially when we're in a work environment. Hey, Jay Mavarakis, welcome. For those of you just joining us for the first time, my name is Sam Led. I'm a trauma coach, leadership strategist, and soon-to-be author. And I'll talk about my book in a future IGTV Live. But it's really being conscious of your work environment, about the other person, and really meeting where they are by using reflective listening that we talked about in the last IGTV Live. Reflective listening is very powerful. Because instead of, hey, Patty Starnes, welcome. Welcome. For those of you just joining us again, we're talking about meeting people where they are if you're having a conflict with a coworker or you're in a relationship. But the most important piece out of all this is learning how to strengthen your intuition and being able to separate, differentiate between the mind chatter, your fears, your anxieties that are colluding your decision-making or making you more angry, when you're making you more angry at that person that you have to work with that is causing the conflict, or you're causing the conflict together, you're doing the conflict dance. And understanding what intuition is. Intuition is not the negative judgment you're placing on another person. Intuition is not the mental chatter, the anxiety. Intuition is that voice, that quiet voice within you, gives you that gentle push to turn left or turn right, and it helps us make good decisions in our life by listening to our intuition. Hey, Amalita, welcome. It's about really being aware of the people, our coworkers. If you're having a conflict with a coworker in your work environment or in your relationships, and it's being able to use discernment and properly use discernment when you have to make a decision that will impact your life. Intuition is a very powerful thing that a lot of us just ignore because either we don't trust our intuition because of the mind noise, the anxiety, the negative stuff we say to ourselves, that we're not good enough, that we're don't have a good system of making decisions, that because of past failures, that I can't trust myself to make the right decisions. Hey, Boobalicious Productions, welcome back. I remember you from last time. That's a great name. So what is your intuition telling you? It's easier said than done, right? Remember, intuition is separate from the mind chatter, the mind noise, okay? When you can strengthen that intuitive muscle, okay, and you do that through getting really quiet, you do that through meditation, you do that through engaging in immersive activities that you love to do when you're not working, when you're not in the office. It's taking a step back, taking a deep breath, and just getting really quiet with yourself and breathing. You'll get the messages. You'll get these intuitive messages. We all have the power to be intuitive. We all have the power to really be our own self-advocate without letting the mind noise, without letting that I call it cognitive distortion. It's like the multipath distortion when you're in between. For those of you who remember FM radio, I'm old enough to know that, to bleed in and color or, Shanghai or sabotage your decision making. When you strengthen your intuition, the intuitive muscle, you'll be better apt to meeting people where they are. You won't react so much, especially at work situations or driving situations. When someone cuts you off on the freeway, you won't react. And again, none of this is easy, but it takes practice. And the questions that you wrote down tonight, take some time to answer them when you have a quiet moment alone, okay? Hey, Krixolani, welcome. Again, my name is Sam Led. I am a trauma coach and leadership strategist. I have a book coming out soon that I'll tell you all about in a future IGTV Live. It's a pleasure to be here for all of you. But the most important piece out of all this, if you want to meet people where they are and not judge them and be able to find solutions to situations where there's conflict between you and another person, especially in the work environment, it's understanding where they're coming from. It's understanding who you are and what your contribution is in the conflict. Because none of y'all, you and you in the nosebleed seats, are innocent at all. You all playing a role in this conflict spiral. If you want to meet people where they are, you have to put yourself in their shoes. Use reflective listening, as I talked about before. And the key questions, I'm going to repeat again, is what do you need from that person in order to find a solution to the issue that you're having with them, especially in your office environment? Why is that person being difficult? Why do you think they're being difficult? What role do you play in the conflict? What is that person trying to tell you? You know, if you can filter through the noise, the judgment, your mental chatter, and sort of turn off the mental chatter and learn how to do that through meditation, through getting really quiet, through your own self-work, which we'll talk about in another IGTV Live. What is that person trying to tell you? There's a message there. You won't get anywhere, as you know, by demonizing them, by letting that mental chatter, that monkey mind, the monkey noise, demonize that person, and then you become both polarized, and then you won't get anywhere, and then all your fears that you've worried about will come to realization because there's no solution to the problem. Another question, again, to write this down: what is the person that you're having a conflict with struggling with? Right? Everybody's struggling. If you're in a conflict, if you're having an issue with a coworker, odds are they're struggling with something outside of work. Find out. You know, be compassionate. It's difficult, I know, when you're angry at another person because they're threatening your livelihood, possible. But you'll be surprised, and you know, this doesn't work in every situation. Sometimes meeting someone where they are is not possible. It isn't. Most of the time it is. But find out what the person's going through, you know, without being too nosy. Why is this person being difficult? You'll find that out through further exploration by being a good detective, using reflective listening we talked about before. You know, these are all things that will help you get to your solution. And what is your intuition telling you? Not the mind noise, not the fears, not the gobbledygook between your ears, not the preconceived judgments you've already made about this person. Oh, this person doesn't know how to dress well in the office. His clothes don't fit well. He looks so disheveled. He has bad breath. I mean, this is the mental chatter going on in our minds, right? If we're not careful, it can really take us for a ride down that rabbit hole where we were demonizing this person. We do this in work environments, especially if you work closely with the team, and there's that one person that you have a conflict with. Oh, this person is, they're always late. They must have a problem. They probably have a problem, but find out what it is and do it gently. Okay? Because if you are part of the team, there's one person that you're having a conflict with. Part of the problem is you. Part of the problem is you. As hard as that is. Even if it doesn't feel that way. Part of the problem is you. The final thing I want to talk to you about tonight is really strengthen your listening abilities. Look for cues. Be your own detective when it comes to meeting someone where they are and really kind of understanding where they are sitting, where they're coming from. Because if you don't put yourself in their shoes and have some kind of empathy for them, as hard as that may sound, especially if they're threatening your livelihood, especially if it's your boss that you're having a conflict with, nobody wants to be in those shoes. Hey, Melbury, how are you? Nobody wants to feel like their job is on the line. That's your livelihood. But if you don't have the most important piece is to really create some empathy for that person, even if it's hard. Even if it seems impossible, even if they're talking shit about you, even if they're spreading rumors about you in the office. If you can be genuine, look them straight in the eye, invite them for a cup of coffee, and really listen to them. Really tap into where they are, why they're having an issue. How can you be a team player and work together to find a solution to the issue? Again, none of this is easy. I'm not saying this works in every situation, but in most situations, we're just humans. We're just humans on this spinning rock called Earth, trying to make a living, trying to have a life full of happiness and bliss. Okay? Think about it. We're going to end it tonight. It's a pleasure to be of service to all of you in the nosebleed seats. I will see you next Tuesday. For those of you interested in my coaching services, the work that I do with my clients, go to my website. It's www.solutionist180.com. You can click the contact me and send me an email. I usually book clients out a month or two in advance, and you can also find me on Instagram and DM me on Instagram. I hope this has been of help to all of you in the nosebleed seats. We're going to do it again next Tuesday for another fantastic IGTV Live. And if you have any topics that you want me to explore, that you have personal interest in, send me a message. I'd love to hear from all of you. It's an honor and a privilege to be of service to you guys. I care about you guys. Don't give up, and I'll see you next Tuesday as we take another deep dive, talk about some really important stuff that, a lot of times are hard to really find solutions to when we're in our mind, when we're in our monkey minds, when we're caught up between, fear and loathing in Las Vegas, as I say. And that's that dangerous noise between your ears that is causing you reparable harm that is not healthy for you, that you need to step back from and say, it's just noise, it doesn't exist. Okay, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and don't give up.